Throughout the years of Need for Speed's history, there have been a lot of cars introduced to us. All from supercars to regular hatches or even sedans. But many of these classic cars have been replaced with other newer or better cars according to the developers. If you look into the car community, you will see that many of these cars that are not in Need for Speed are still used and are popular to us car enthusiasts. So today we are going to go through the top 12 cars they should put in the next Need for Speed game. Before we start off with number 12 on this list, I just want to notify you that these cars are not in any particular order at all. So the number 12 is the Golf GTI MK4. The MK4 is a very well known car in the community. Many teenagers choose an MK4 as the starter car if they have the money to. The newest Need for Speed only have the MK1 and the MK7, which is odd in my opinion. Why not throw in the MK4? I mean, it is a great car and many of us own one and want to use this car in the game. Even I drive a first generation MK5, but it is unfortunately not a GTI but a 1.6 liter FSI. At the number 11 spot we have the Ferrari F50. The F4 is a classic, but I think there's not enough old supercars in the game such as the F50, which is a cool car that many of us would love to use. In my opinion, there should be a lot more old supercars in the game, since many of us that grew up with Need for Speed remember using them in, for an example, Hot Pursuit or even like Most Wanted 05, which had a couple of supercars. And it's just a good looking car, just wow. One of the best looking Ferraris in my opinion. The only problem that I have with Ferrari is that they don't usually include a lot of customization. And that's probably because of licensing and stuff like that. And also because they don't like it on their cars, even though there are plenty of stuff to customize in real life. But I still think this car could perfectly suit a Need for Speed game in the future. And on the number 10 spot we have the Lexus IS 300. This car is such a good looking sedan and has a very good engine. If you're an American and not a European. Because we in Europe, or at least in Sweden, did not get the IS300 but instead the IS200. The IS300 has a 3-liter 2JZ GE engine with 217 horsepower and it's almost the same engine as the Toyota Supra. But the only thing is that the Supra has a turbo which the IS300 doesn't. That's the only difference. And the IS200 gets a 2-liter 1GFE engine that only has 153 horsepower. The only thing that is positive with this engine is that it is a straight 6, which basically means that you can get more power out of it. And also this car is cheap and can get you into the JDM scene quite easily. You will probably not see many of these cars either, since they are not that popular, or at least in my experience. This is also my reason to as why this is going to be my first car, hopefully soon. At the number 9 spot we have the Toyota Corolla AE86. Now this is a classic JDM car that everybody knows from Initial D. If you don't know what that is, it is probably because you are 1, too young or 2 living under a rock. Why this car was in Need for Speed 2015 only and not in the later games is quite strange, but at the same time quite clear. Well, the reason is because the issue Toyota had with putting their cars in illegal street racing games, which is quite well known by now. But that doesn't stop us from wanting the Toyota back in Need for Speed. Please stop being a B word, Toyota, please. At number 8 we have the Lamborghini Murcielago. Perfection. If I had to explain this Lambo, it would be just that. If you ask me, the Murcielago was one of the last supercars that I liked. The biggest reason being that it has a manual. And please don't come in with the "oh, you're one of those guys that only loves manuals. You can probably even drive one to begin with." I've had my driving license for over like 1.5 years now, and I do drive stick. And I've driven auto too, but mostly stick. So I know what I'm talking about. Both have benefits, but I prefer stick. Anyways, it's one of those that just I feel needs to be in a Need for Speed game, since Lambo don't have a problem with us customizing their cars, unlike some others. At number 7 we have the Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. Oh boy, have you been missed. This is a JDM car that has mostly been requested for years, but the developers have seemed to have just forgotten about this car. Until the Crew 2, which I thought was a good move by them, introduced it. But I think us Need for Speed fans will have even more to do with this car if it had been on earlier games, because of customization and that. Well, I guess it's never too late to add it in. Criterion, I hope you're listening to this one. If there's a car out of everything on my list, this is the one you should do first. At number 6 we have the Lamborghini Gallardo. There is not a lot to add to this car since I have the same opinion about this car as I did with the Murcielago. Since I know EA wants to keep their super and hyper cars in the game, why just not add in more of these cars? The Gallardo is just another example of a very good car they could add. At the number 5 spot we have the Toyota Supra MK4. Yet again we have another Supra. This car is just awesome and is very fitting for a Need for Speed game. I don't really get why Toyota would do such a thing. Their best cars ever made are the cars that has been used for customization, such as the MK3, the MK5 even, the GT86, the AE86 that I mentioned earlier. In my opinion, they should embrace this instead, because a lot of us love the old JDM cars and do not like the new Toyotas. And the MK5 is just proved how they've declined, for me at least. At number 4 we have the Mazda RX-8. I honestly don't know why this car has not been added to the new Need for Speed games. If the Eclipse is a car they should add first, then this should be the second. They even have the RX-7, so I don't think they will have any issues with adding this one. This car has such a unique and fitting design, with the rotary engine being the focus, and everything about it just makes sense. Except for the reliability of the engine, which is just as strong as Ghost promising us updates. At number 3 we have the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Why has this car never been seen since Underground 2? Honestly, it's a great looking car that I would love to see in the future. This is especially good for like young kids who play these games who want to learn more about cars, because this is the way I learned about cars, playing video games. These games are how I really came to like them, and by giving kids knowledge about rare JDM or any car for that matter is a great thing that I experienced that they deserve to experience too. At the number 2 spot we have the Infiniti G35. This is Infiniti's more reliable brother of the 350Z. And it's a great looking car that some prefer over the 350Z, so why not have it in the game? It's not like most of us don't know about the car, just don't get the logic of these games sometimes. And they also have other Infiniti cars in the game, such as the Q60, which means that they actually have the license to add this car, which just proves that the developers' choices on cars is just poor. And on the number 1 spot we have the Ferrari 360 Modena. Wow is the word I would explain this car. The looks, the history, and the sound. The sound is arguably one of the best sounds ever. It is amazing and it's just music to my ears and to any ear, honestly. Just listen. I don't think we need any more reasons as to why like we need this car in the next game. If there's any supercar they need to add, this is the one. And that was my list of the 12 cars I think they should add in the next game. If you enjoyed this list, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video.